Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Tuesday night to join me. I really do appreciate it. Every single time I say it, I just feel so much more alive. Furthermore, I gotta remind myself that the camera must be on before I start talking to myself. Or not, because either way it happens, but namely right when I'm about to start a video. So let's put that in the good old noggin, Albert. I hope that you guys are doing very well, alright? I hope that your Tuesdays are treating you good and that you're getting ready for a hot summer, but nonetheless, summers are always hot, I guess, right? So that's kind of redundant, but I'd argue just a little more hot than usual. That's okay. Winter came late, summer's here, and I'll stop talking about weather now because I promise I'm not that old. What I do want to talk about tonight is kind of just the very thing that, we opened up with. And a friendly reminder to, all of the new people that join every single day. The numbers blow my mind, different people watching various videos from now more than 1,000 videos that we've compiled here, my good old camera and myself. And so tonight I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about impromptu speaking and the rise of impromptu speaking, ironically, here on the platform. And I feel like it's something, but we'll go through that. And then I want to finish tonight's improv with a little bit of highlight on a cool video that I saw earlier. Link in the description below. This is an up-and-coming creator, such as myself, so throw a thumbs up, and if you're not already, be a subscriber. Not only to myself, but, don't even subscribe to me, just subscribe to her. It's cool. She's made a really good video, two parts to it, in fact, and it addresses the kind of both mathematical and, dare I say, pseudo-intellectual area of the statistics that reflect the odds of you being alive or not, and just, how that can correspond to just how special you are and how much potential that you have, and just kind of, all odds against you, you made it. And moreover, now that you've made it, let's continue to move forward and continue to try to make it, you know what I mean? But impromptu speaking. So here's the thing. I'm 37 years old now, and I have been doing some kind of improvisational speaking since I was about 10. Okay, just can be verified. I'm sure that at one point it will be at some point in my life, so, only I'd be looking real stupid if I said things that weren't true. And so, yeah, also I'm pretty sensitive, so, like, God, stop bothering me. Anyways, no, so since I was about 10, right, I've been in some kind of formal, um, even at times competitive, different kinds of places where people would talk, and, I guess it was who was talking the best, and I've been told that I'm good at nothing else in my life other than opening my mouth and talking. Furthermore, I've dated women in my life who have they've wanted the opposite from me. So instead of like wanting me to talk, they completely just they've told me. I've heard this before. Just don't talk. And so I don't know. It goes both ways, right? I may be good at talking, arguably, but it may be a thing that not a lot of people like, including, the very women that have come in and out of my life who've reminded me of this very thing. So go figure, I'm single. I make impromptu speeches here on YouTube, and now I'm talking about the rise of these current kinds of formatted speeches, and I'm all for it, again, because I've been doing it for about 27 years, and so I really enjoy. I mean, you probably couldn't tell though, right? Because, I'm over here saying that I'm kind of good at something, but like, if somebody's been doing something that long and they're not, like remotely even just better at it than when they started, then there's a problem, right? So I may just be doing some projecting here, or just doing some real like, maybe I'm being conceited. I don't know, but those are the facts. And again, sometimes when you do this kind of speech, when you give these kinds of speeches, it's not as, a lot of people, right? A lot of creators out there, we spend a lot of time, gathering information, and, doing, like vetting that information and hiring people to do production and to write scripts and stuff. And, I, for one, can't afford any of those things, right? Like, truly. Truly just can't. And also, wouldn't you believe that it is a very difficult thing sometimes to just kind of come up with something halfway coherent and just start talking about it and just hope that other people might listen to it. I don't know. It sounds odd, when you're talking about it out loud, because it is kind of odd. It's not normal. I would say, because again, a normal person like doesn't really have that much to say, right? All of it's kind of like inside, and we do all of these different things to cope with our surroundings and stuff. But improv's a fun way to talk, right? Improv's a fun thing that you can do at home. You can gamify it in so many different ways. There's been so many different kinds of adaptations of this very kind of way to speak. And just shout out to all the creators out there who are like literally putting out brand new content with just themselves, the camera, and their voice. And I think that that's cool. And it may not get as many views right now as well scripted and thought out videos and thought provoking production level Hollywood caliber style stuff, you feel me? But YouTube has always been an amateur platform. And I feel like while people, like Jimmy over at Mr. Beast team and stuff have done a real awesome job of putting it into the mainstream, I just seen some Nielsen ratings, and you can Google this yourself, but YouTube absolutely just KAF. Like, they put all other platforms to shame, and it's basically a platform of amateurs, right? Most of us aren't doing anything more special than just this very thing, and so it's awesome just to see the kind of support that a certain kind of speech is getting. And I know that sounds really nerdy. As I say it again, maybe if I did have scripts, I'd actually think about some of the things that I said before I say them. But, how can you when you're just saying them? Which, again, is the whole beauty of improvisational speaking, and why I have been such a huge proponent of this kind of way to communicate for well over half my life and more. More of my life has been spent concerned about this kind of area in communication than it actually has been before that, right? And so that reminds me that I'm super old. It also reminds me that sometimes when I get real excited, I stutter incoherently. These are things that, I try to refrain from, but it's just not the easiest thing to do. So shout out to all the creators who are making awesome videos just off the top, you feel me? Because again, they may not be pulling in a significant amount of revenue right now, but keep at it, and it eventually you'll make it or you won't, right? And so, I don't know, no sense on, what a bad analogy. All of the analogies sometimes I think of as I'm speaking or whatever, I do actually vet some of the things that I say before I say them. Surprisingly, right? 'Cause I just said that I didn't. But even now, in that very moment, I'm like, a little too cringe. Not appropriate. So, yeah, I have a filter, I promise. Now let's talk about the really cool video, link in the description below. And this young woman is an awesome creator. I've seen a few videos now, more than a handful. And, she, in this most recent video that I am sending the link to, or the hyperlink is to in the description, you know what I'm talking about, that. But the odds of you being alive are strikingly, and they're remarkably low, right? Like, overall, in the grand scheme of things, I understand that for 80% of the surface population here on this planet, life isn't the very best of experiences. God, I say this with a smile on my face because there's a smile instead of tears coming out of my eyes. This is the way that I just have to defend myself against all of the awful things that come along with those very statistics, right? So just keep that in mind, okay, before you start bagging on me for feeling some type of way for smiling or trying to joke about things that are just absolutely abhorrent and just awful and immoral and stuff, again, don't take it personal. I have to look at this face every single day, and so whatever. Yeah, I feel like the odds of you being alive, right? Again, despite all of the odds that we have stacked up against us once we enter this experience that we all have, are pretty low. And so it's just kind of, a friendly reminder that, like, within all of that data, within all of the greater grand scheme of all of life and stuff and our experience here and everything, I just feel like, we're all kind of special. You feel me? And not in any other kind of un-PC joke, yellow short bus kind of a way. Again, shout out. Guys, this is a character. Don't take me too serious. If we can't joke about the things that are the most awful things in the world to joke about, then we have no right joking about anything at all. So, we got to be careful, but I'm also just reminding everybody about these very basic fundamental things about the video that you're watching. So, that being said, God, it's a wonderful thing that can be had, right? This thing we call life. And furthermore, even in the worst of times, it's important to know that, like, that you're alive, you feel me? And that's half the battle, The other half is staying alive. I mean, and it's, again, like, damn, it sucks. There's so many people that are born into destitute poverty and just little to no opportunity, and that just sucks, I mean, if I was a person that typically cusses and stuff on my program, it sucks, right? And that's so, taking those things into account, right? Like, even the worst of us off in this world have something so valuable to give. You feel me? Like the most poor people, the most marginalized people, the people that nobody cares about, like, they have a lot to contribute to society. They were born, they for some reason or another, like, was selected, via math or something. Or, I would say destiny, but I really feel like all of this is in some way kind of backed up in some pseudoscience intellectual way of math, right? It just has to be, because there are too many, like, patterns and stuff, right? In our experiences and the things that happen and the constant fight to, battle systemic injustice throughout all of human history, all of these very basic things. It's just, you're special, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you being around and not giving up, and I appreciate you going to work every day, or going to school every day, or, just putting a smile on your face every day, regardless of all the things that I have so just absolutely, incorrectly joked about over the last 8 minutes or so. It's a serious topic, and, I'll try to reel it back in a little bit, because, again, that's what I think of you. You feel me? Like, again, I think this about, like, my best friend, and just as equally, I think this about my worst enemy, to my haters. You feel me? I do. I want everybody to do well. Like, I don't care what people feel about me. I don't care, like, no type of way. Like, I really don't. There might be a problem to that, again, but I simply don't, because I understand, I love myself. I learned a long time ago that, like, if you don't love yourself, again, like, I'd much rather just understand that I'm okay and good and cool with myself, and I very much am appreciative of this opportunity that I have, right? The idea that I'm alive. That's kind of cool. So I got to work with that, right? And I feel like you do too. I feel like we all do. Kind of just take a step back, and just do whatever you got to do to just kind of really appreciate this very moment. I can't stress this to you enough. Like, life happens. It goes by real fast. The future changes. Everything changes all the time. And one thing that you can, like, provide to yourself in a consistent way is, loving yourself and being humbled by the kind of opportunity that we have here to be our best selves. And I think that should be motivation in and of itself to be our best selves, and to fight against the things that may appear to be easier from the surface of things, but in reality are just steeped in misconception and deceit and just not good things for the majority of people. And I feel like we can all agree on that. We don't need a God to make us agree. We don't need a government to make us agree. Like, that's kind of the beautiful thing, about, like taking this experience and doing what you can with it. And so I encourage all of you to do that. I really do. I encourage all of you to take a deep breath and, kind of remind yourself that it is extremely rare that you're here to begin with. And now that you're here, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? And I feel like that's a pretty strong motivator for me, because we all need direction, and I feel like the best of us, the smartest of us, they say, tell us that ultimately in life, people that are driven by purpose instead, moreover, of things like greed and individual accomplishments and accolades and so forth, that those people that discover their purpose in life, those are always going to be the most reliable people to reach out to in their given fields and or industries, right? Just because those very kinds of people are they understand, and they remain dedicated to a cause, and that is in fact their purpose. And in a world where very few things are of intrinsic value, I really feel like having a purpose is something that cannot be bought or sold. I feel like it's something that is very much within all of our potential and capability. And for so much and for so many of us, we are never able to enact those dreams that we have of making the world a better place and helping out our neighbor. Sometimes we get so caught up in the middle of our own lives that we fail to remember that life can be very good, and it should be very good, and we shouldn't feel bad about living a good life. But when other people are paying with their lives for the cost of us to do all these things, it's just something's got to give. And what's got to give are the people that are buying the services that are making these people suffer so much, and instead try to be actively helpful and not harmful, and to stand up against our government in ways that are peaceful and legitimate and above board in all mannerisms. I find that change can come from within, and you don't need a January 6th to do that. You don't need any sus kind of thing to do that. No false flags here. The truth is a really easy thing to sell. It's so easy, in fact, that those people that are and have dedicated their lives to disassembling that very basic notion, they are very afraid. I can't blame them. It's hard. It's a hard thing. You can be the smartest and the brightest of people, but one thing you cannot argue with is the fact that you are here, my friend, and that I appreciate you, and that this world needs you. This world needs you to be your best self. This world needs you to rise above your own personal challenges and discriminatory beliefs, whether they're stemmed in something you deem justifiable or not. Like, just be a grown-up, and let's go back to when we were younger and understood very simply what was right and what was wrong. And I think if we do those things, we'll have a better experience overall, for not just ourselves, but for everybody. And from everybody having a better experience, we in fact benefit from that. So, like, it's weird how that works, right? Just like when you put hate into the world, it kind of, is cyclical, and it just makes more hate. I feel like when you put, like love and like positive things, into the universe, that's also what is reciprocated. And it's not a hard thing to sell, and the truth is always going to be right. And the truth is that it's incredibly rare that you are here. So you're my friend, and I appreciate you joining my show, and I'm going to get out of character now. Okay, so hey guys, it was awesome. Every video, every time I have these talks, shout out to all the creators who are making improv videos. They don't even know what to call them. It's so awesome to see young people that have not been trained formally to do these kinds of things just try and do these kinds of things just like I do every single night. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, I'm sure somebody out there could tell me how many times I've looked like a complete moron and have said things that again. But like, this is the way of speech, right? I mean, like, seriously, I think it would, in my case, be a little bit weirder if I came up with scripted things and stuff, just because, again, even when I do have like research as a component of my videos and stuff, I do what's called extemporaneous speaking, which is a hybridization of improv and some more thoroughly researched sources that you cite and so forth. And I've done those very talks here on the channel and stuff. But I really like improv, and I really like all the young people that are making a go for it and turning on their camera and just saying what's on their minds. That's always going to be the most authentic way of communication. It doesn't matter if that's with you and yourself or you and your bestie. That's, again, this is, improv is like IRL talking. I mean, there ain't no script in real life, unless, of course, you work for Uncle Sam and you star in a movie that, ends in a 7 and starts with a 00. Anyways, most of us don't have to live our lives within the confines of some sort of grand lie. And for those of us that are fortunate enough to experience that, you know what I'm talking about. My jokes, right? Again, I'm out of character right now. Like, again, I joke a lot, obviously. Don't ever be offended by the things that I say, please. You feel me? Like, or not, I can't control the way that you feel. Just know that I'm not a hateful person, and that I wouldn't be this version of some kind of amateur loser stand-up comedian if I didn't, absolutely, like, we can't pick and choose what we want to joke about. And if we did, that would go against the entire, like, premise of comedy, I mean, truly. And again, not to say that I'm trying to be a stand-up comic here or anything, but humor does break the ice, right? And humor does make things a little more accepting, a little more easier to listen to, right? Because I've listened and I've done all of these different things, and this is the best way that I like to do it. So also, yeah, that whole thing I said about like being alive and feeling special and all that, like, yo, like, look it up. Watch this girl's video. Watch both of them, you feel me? And there's also a ton more research out there, right? But, like, there's nothing existential about that. There's nothing philosophical or pseudo in that, It's kind of like, yeah, the odds of you being alive are inarguably, they're pretty low. And so I think that's an opportunity. Every life is an opportunity, and I want at some point in my life to see more opportunities for everyone, right? Instead of less opportunities. I can't possibly imagine living in a world where I am 80 years old and there are less opportunities for young people than there were when I was growing up. Like, I think if we can, at the end of the day, provide more opportunities for more people by the time that we're all old and reaching our boomer glorified years, I think that'll be all right, And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm about to take my socks off. So I hope that you guys have a really good night. Thank you for watching my show, and thank you for subscribing and watching all the old videos. All of that, all of it. Seriously, I really appreciate it. And I will continue to try and do my best to happily annoy you, and troll you in some kind of small way. By contrast, it does... thanks for giving me purpose in life, because again, we all need purpose, and I'm very excited. I'm very happy. I have a purpose. That's what I feel like. That's good, right? I guess that's better than being depressed. I don't know. I think it's good. Anyways, before I start another speech, I hope that you guys have a really good night. Thanks for watching my show. I will see you tomorrow, and that's all. And I spoke like this on purpose, by the way. It's just like I'm talking to AI. It's like talking to my roommate, talking to AI, talking to myself on the phone. It's like sometimes it all gets jumbled up together. I hope that you guys have a really good night. Bye.